Well, good morning and welcome to another live at 5:55 with me, Andrew Eborn. You're joining me here in the heart and lungs of London, right here in Regent's Park. And what a fantastic day it's going to be. Thank you all to everybody who's written in and said how much they're enjoying the shows, who's been over on the main channels on Octopus TV. We've had loads of fantastic guests over the last few days, and yesterday was really rather special, so thank you for everybody who joined me there. This morning we are going to be taking you through Regent's Park just to start your day in the usual sort of way here on the Breakfast Show. And if you've got any views on anything, do let me know. We've got James Lewis going to be coming on the show a little bit later today, and we're going to be chatting about all sorts of exciting stuff. James is, everybody will know James, you know what he's like. He's a thrill, a delight. And he'll be joining me later on in the show. James Lewis is watching. There you go, James. Nice to see you. So you're joining me, as always, on my early morning walk here in Regent's Park. My backyard, as they say. And there's no better way to start the day than a fantastic walk along the boating lake here at the park. Now, those of you who tuned in yesterday, we had a phenomenal day over on the Octopus TV. If you haven't subscribed yet, go over to YouTube and subscribe to Octopus TV. You should also go to Daily Motion, where we have our own channel there. Over 600 videos and interviews that I've been conducting with the rich and the famous and everyday folk who've had a chance to join me live and exclusive. This is my little country home, and as you can see, the various people are waking up gradually on this glorious day and talking about, morning friends, morning, how you doing, lovely to see you, talking about waking up and doing exciting stuff. Yesterday I predicted, before any announcements from the government, that following my discussions with people around the world, they would be, hello Holland, we love Holland. Welcome from Holland, friends, nice to see you. I told you yesterday that way ahead of any government announcement, I've been speaking to people around the world about the social distancing rules. And I said that a lot of countries are doing far less than 2 meters. And yesterday, as predicted, right here, exclusively on Octopus TV, I predicted that they would slash the social distancing rules from 2 meters to 1 meter. Now, if you can do 2 meters where possible, keep doing those. But the government has said that 1 meter should be okay. And the reason for that, and the reason it makes a massive difference, and you're going to spot this, is that a lot of my friends in retail, a lot of my friends in various places and public gatherings where you have to deal with people, you basically need 1 meter. Makes a huge difference. It means that people might be able to operate and start coming back to work and work on that sort of basis. Let me take you up here this morning. Go on, we go over the bridge. So the idea then is that retail can open. We've got the cinemas opening. We also are looking at different music events. And yesterday morning, so that announcement came in PM's question time, Prime Minister's question time. But a bit earlier on in the day, we had another PM, my old mate, Piers Morgan. Now, Piers is a wonderful character, and he knows, everybody knows, that whenever you want to draw a crowd, start a fight. And Piers is a master at starting a fight. Master. Great broadcaster. But there's a time and a place. And good old Dizzy Rascal came on yesterday onto Good Morning Britain. And I posted about this. You'll see another video. I posted straight after Prime Minister's question time, confirming the announcement that I'd made earlier in the day. But also to point out that poor old Dizzy Rascal came on Prime Minister's question time to give what was fantastic news. And the fantastic news is that he and several other artists are going to be doing some of these drive-in concerts. It means that at long last, people are going to be able to go to drive-in concerts. But rather than talk about that, Piers raised another matter, obviously important, but poor old Dizzy was so wound up by it that he let slip and swore on breakfast television and totally distracted from what should have been a really, really positive message. So my message, if there is going to be a message, Piers, you're a fantastic broadcaster. I love investigative journalism. I like people asking hard questions, but the reality is, shed more light and less heat. Shine more light. That's the idea. That's the way you get to the bottom of stories. When things are good and when things are positive, let's have that. And Dizzy was there with some really positive news, which got distracted. So Dizzy's very welcome. We've been in touch with his people. He's welcome to come on the show. I know other artists who are involved with this side and the fantastic concerts. Check them out. I've posted the details right there on Octopus TV. You're joining me on a glorious moment here in the park. This is my backyard pond, live at 5:55, and Mark is joining us. James Lewis, my old mate, he's here. And Canada Day, I was invited by the Canadian Embassy to join lots of people for Canada Day, and quite appropriately we've flown in all these geese especially. They're all making their way. The morning rush hour, you've joined us in the morning rush hour with the Canadian geese right here on Regent's Park. It's always a thrill, what a joy. And what you'll find is that Regent's Park has over 211 different species of wildfowl. We have the ducks, we have all the different geese, and some fantastic other animals as well. Now this is the boating lake over here, and the boating lake's a perfect way of whiling away a few hours in Regent's Park. These are all starting to open up now. And the great thing, morning Zoe, lovely to join you, thank you. Another James, or the James. We've got people from around the world who have been joining us today. And you're breaking news as we bring the news first, live and exclusive here on ENN with me, Andrew Eborn. And I can tell you that later on, I love this, people make announcements about announcements. Later on, we'll be making a very, very important announcement about live and exclusive with RJ Gibb, who's a singer-songwriter, producer, but also, as many of you know, he's the son of the legendary Robin Gibb. And we're going to be doing a special broadcast, a live broadcast in association with GSI and KTT. And that broadcast is going to be a guided tour around London with me, Andrew Eborn, and also with RJ Gibb, looking at all the sites which were important to the Bee Gees. And so to RJ Gibb's brother, sorry, not his brother, to his father Robin Gibb, and also to his uncles, Barry and Morris, and why those venues were important. And you're going to be joining us live on and exclusive on KTT and GSI. So do go over, make sure you subscribe, because on Facebook I'm already up to the maximum. You can only have 5,000 people, and we passed that with a lovely waiting list as well. Is that nice? There we go. Makes me feel good. But what we have, so if you want to join us on that exclusive tour, then do go along to Octopus TV, and you can find us on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube to make sure you get access. Free, it's free, we spoil you know. Morning Russ. It's free, so if you want to come along and join us, you can do exactly that. You can also join me on Daily Motion. And Daily Motion is another channel, and we're talking to traditional broadcasters as well. And somebody's just got back from Athens. Fantastic. I hope you had a great time in Athens as well. Right, we're making our way from the centre bit of Regent's Park. Morning, Hazel. How are you, Hazel? Right, there's a legend. We love it. We're joining me in Regent's Park as we start our early morning walk, live at 5:55. And the reason these broadcasts started is London Zoo opened up, and I live, those of you who know me well, I live right by London Zoo, and I wanted to find out what was going on in London. And basically we do a lot of live broadcasts, as you know, of major events and music and so on and so forth. And I thought, well, let's have a look. We'll see if this makes sense to bring a lot of people along to London Zoo. And so we broadcast live from London Zoo, just on my mobile phone, as you're doing now. And what I was amazed about is everybody was there. The animals are all there, obviously, but there was no people. Just the keepers. Right, I'm going to show you where we are in Regent's Park, so you can have very helpfully There we go. This says you are here. Well, you're here, actually. You're there, I'm here. Hazel's there. So this is the abandoned restaurant I've taken you to start with. I've taken you up the various places. So Royal Academy of Music, we walked over here. I just walked along the riverbank and so on and so forth. And we're about to go into the main Queen Mary's Gardens, which is a stunning garden. So we're across the road, the Regent's Park. Life is starting to open. The rush hour. We get so many bicyclists around here in the early morning rush hour. Over there is Home House. I showed you that a little bit earlier. And the rules I was telling you, we broke the news live and exclusively yesterday about the distancing. It's been 2 meters here in the UK for some time now. And as I mentioned even before the big wake-up call from the government live, what happened is that they've reduced those rules to 1 meter if there are circumstances where you can't do 2. And now that makes a big difference. And the difference it will make is to lots of places like cinemas and restaurants and so on and so forth, where people will actually working on that premise that it's not always possible to make things make sense in terms of 2 meters, but 1 meter gives them a fighting chance to do things. So you're joining me here in the Rose Garden, absolutely stunning place where we start the day, and it's just basically, it's always just you and me of an early morning walk, because that's why I love coming up at 5:55, because it's a real thrill and a fantastic backdrop. So what happens is all the time over on Octopus TV, we get the greats, the good, rich and famous, unsung heroes will come and talk to me about their lives. And this has been about the great unifier, is that people realise that when they've been shut down, not allowed to do what they normally do, and they press the reset button, it gives people a chance, a real chance, to work out what's important in their lives. And I've spoken to many people on the show, have come on and told me about their fantastic history, because they're chums. What happens, we discuss things. It's not just selling a book, it's not just promoting the latest album, but of course we can do that as well. But it's talking about real issues. And the real issues are what affects everybody. So we've spoken about things like mental health, we've spoken about different ways of learning new activities. And we're doing a course, for example, at the moment. We have a chess expert, we have a chess master who takes us through everything you want to learn about learning chess. I've also been involved with some gliding. So we have a gliding expert who is going to talk to us, and we've started a series already about gliding. In addition, we've done things about working on a boat, a houseboat. We've looked at all the different rules and regulations for being on a houseboat and how that's applicable. So many different things. We've also yesterday started, those of you who tuned into the main programme on Octopus TV would have seen Teo Philippe all the way from Corsica, and he's giving us the ultimate guide to wine. So all of this, and in addition we have all sorts of top chefs joining us on a regular basis. And what I love, and I genuinely love about this sort of side, is that it means that you get direct first-hand experience of something glorious. Right, these are the English rose border, and I'll take you into the room. But there are so many fantastic different roses which we're going to have a look at. And you can, this is David Austin, is the person who's the award-winning rose breeder. What a great job. And he achieved worldwide recognition for his roses. And basically their flowers and growth habits are reminiscent of the old roses, but they have a unique charm and a particular beauty of their own. And excellent reputation, tough and reliable roses. They are always a glorious addition here in Regent's Park. And what I love is the crunch of a morning. And may the only crunch that you experience come from the Andrew Eborn morning walk, because that'll make us feel good. So here we go. We're going into the main rose garden. And in the main rose garden, a glorious, every possible species, every possible rose you could imagine over here. Smell those, absolutely gorgeous. the perfect way to wake up. And they very helpfully give the names of the different species of rose. You can hear, and the other thing is the soundtrack. We deal with a lot of music in my life. A lot of my friends are fantastic musicians. But actually nature's soundtrack is just so wonderful. And you hear the wake-up call of a morning. And there really is no better way to start the day. If you're joining me, it's Andrew Eborn here, live at 5:55 on the Andrew Eborn Breakfast Show. And it's a thrill. You're joining me again in Regent's Park as we have our dawn chorus. See, this is what they love about this. It's a wonderful, glorious link. One for sorrow. Hopefully there's another one somewhere. Got to look out for the extra magpie. We've had enough sorrow at the moment, haven't we? But you can hear crickets, you can hear the birds all starting. As what promises to be quite a hot week, actually. Hot in many, many ways. We're starting to open up as a country. We're starting to find new ways of connecting. But hopefully one of the things we've learned on lockdown is what we really took for granted before. And what we took for granted before is human nature, human contact, trying to find out ways of treating each other with respect. As I say, it's war is not the way to go. Jaw, we should talk. We need to spend our precious time working out ways that we can help each other, ways that we can support each other during these difficult times, but also to realise there are many lovely people. Look at this, it's all writing its own script, isn't it? Good heavens, we love these roses. It's always a thrill. There are some wonderful people out there, and what I love, there are people who are prepared to share, people who turn around and say, look, you're not alone. And I think one of the really key things about my wonderful guests, and we've had guests from all over the world. We've had guests from Australia, we've had guests from Zambia, many places in between, and they've all been explaining about how they have been dealing with the different situations. And you will always often tell with news reports work on the principle that they have their own particular slant on a particular story. And so what will happen is, I always recommend, and I say to my family as well, is that the way that you consume your news should be to get it from many different sources. Morning, AJ, how are you? Lovely to see you all the way from Hong Kong. How's life in Hong Kong? I was just talking, AJ, about my bête noire, my pet hate. It's about the news and how a lot of things are slanted in a particular way. And it depends on the source that you have, and the relevant source will give you a particular interpretation. What people do, they tend to get their news from sources which are consistent with their own views. And because they're consistent, it becomes a spiral of deceit, is what I would suggest. So all you're doing is confirming your own suspicions. So I would recommend that you get your news from many different sources. What I do is phone people directly from around the world, get direct reports. So we went to people in LA, we've had people in Bristol, we've had people all over the place on that sort of basis. And the basic sort of thing is that we need to find out sensible ways of approaching life. And the sensible ways of approaching life is to question everything. Because if you question everything, then I think you'll find that actually the world is not necessarily as bad as people might portray. There is a different view, and that different view can be one which we can support and enhance. And that different view can be one which can give a different spin. Name any card at all. Spade. Number between ace and a king. 10. Okay, 10 of spades, I thank you. On the floor, all those predicted beautifully. Well done. Was that the card you were thinking of? I thought it might be. Surely people lost the playing card. Anyway, I'm bringing you back into one of my favourite places in London. I do like this as a general principle. This is St John's Lodge, and the gardens just by St John's Lodge, which provide a beautiful place for meditation. It was a garden ideally set up for meditation, and you'll see that the lodge itself dates from the 1800s over there. And it's one of the second buildings within Regent's Park that was a private one, and we're approaching our friends here. We'll take you in for a cup of tea and we can have a look. Yes, people are asking about the opinion on social distancing, and I've been saying this for a little while, is that we speak to people around the world about how the different governments have approached it. And I think the honest answer is that all the people who were constitutional experts all those months ago, basically they've now become virologists. They've all got an opinion on the best way of beating this virus. And the honest answer is that we should listen to the scientists. The people who've impressed me the most during this are not the politicians who are there trying to do their best, trying to work out the sound bites, work out statistics and so on and so forth. It's actually the people who know about this stuff. It's the virologists who will turn around and say, look, this is how these things work. If you're within X number of inches, X number of centimetres of a particular person and they sneeze, you have an X% chance of catching it. So those are the people that we need to sort of listen to, because they're the ones who will turn around and say, okay, this is how you can be careful. And I think it's an airborne virus, and as a result, there are the experts who will turn around and say, this is how you can help avoid it. But the experts, having consulted them, there's a balance, isn't there, between the health of the nation and the wealth of the nation. And the two are interrelated, and that's the problem. So what we really need to do is find the experts, and the experts are the ones who will guide us through the appropriate place. But let's learn also the lessons of history. Because what I find is that I've had lots of historians on here, and we have been here before. We had here in 1918, we had the Spanish flu. And with the Spanish flu, we basically, it died out in the end. There was no vaccine found. And so often what happens, these different things, is they die a natural death. But I very much hope, obviously, as people look into these, we do listen to the scientists and not the spin doctors, would be my recommendation. But you're joining us here, a beautiful place, the start of meditation of a morning. You can hear, as I say, the best soundtrack is actually the bird song. And I'm going to walk you through the gardens. Morning, Ben, to all protectors of the defenceless, opposite in this time. And what I love about this, as you join me nice and early of a morning, is that we are looking at life in a slightly different way. We've woken up with the news which I predicted yesterday about social distancing, the distance being reduced. We've got cinemas will be opening up. We've got restaurants that are already been doing their takeaways, but they'll be opening up some more. And because the distance is reduced to just 1 metre, people have got a better chance of doing things. And in addition to that, we've got the opportunity to go to some live concerts. And as I said, we had Dizzy Rascal was on with Piers yesterday, Piers Morgan, and he was there to promote these fantastic concerts. But Piers, jaw, not war, would be my recommendation, is that whilst it's always good and thrilling broadcasting to pick a fight, sometimes there are times and places, and perhaps that wasn't the time or the place to pick a fight with Dizzy when he was there trying to promote what is fantastic news for a lot of fans who've been waiting to basically come and see live music again. And I think that's a really exciting point, is that we are now opening up to these different things. We are finding a way to make things make sense. And as a result, as I say, of different people coming on the show, people are learning new skills. So if you haven't subscribed to Octopus TV, do go over to the YouTube and look at Octopus TV, because we've got live and exclusive content for subscribers. We're going to be doing something very special, and I can make an announcement about an announcement. That'll be happening later on today. I've also got some fantastic guests, and for those who haven't had a chance to come on the show, if there's anybody you think would be a great guest, do let me know, because we welcome absolutely everybody from all walks of life. We've had, from the music world, we had the legendary producer, Harvey Goldsmith, has been a guest and spoken about the music industry and how that's operating in these extraordinary times. We've had my good friend Toya has been speaking about her life and also how she's coping and adapted with her husband, the legendary Robert Fripp, and how they've been conducting themselves during this time and coming up with a whole new creativity. So what they're doing is working out, they're doing fantastic videos which they can see through their channels as well. And it's connecting with fans in a way which a lot of people haven't necessarily done before. So I think that sort of side is really, really interesting as well. And the more we can look at new ways of keeping this connection. I think the important thing to recognise as well is that we must remember that all the stuff that we took for granted beforehand can basically work on the premise that we must remember the good things and the things that we do cherish and make those make sense. Those of you who have just joined me, it's Andrew Eborn live at 5:55, the breakfast show, and I hope it's all doing well. Hello Alice, good morning to you, and a very warm welcome. So we're going to do the main show a little bit later. Do go over to Octopus TV, do have a look. We've now done, in lockdown, over 500, can you believe it, 500 interviews with everybody from the rich and famous around the world. And what we realise is that the depth and breadth of the different people that we know from every possible walk of life is really quite extraordinary. AJ's joining us as a regular from Hong Kong. We'll get the view from him. He should come on the show, actually, AJ. Come and talk to us about what's really going on in Hong Kong. That would be wonderful. We've had people over in Australia, and my good friend Andrew down there gave us a live report there. We've had people from LA giving a report as to what's going on there. We've had Marion in Belgium, which is fantastic, and we've got some great news from Marion later on. We'll be making an announcement today as to a very special tour which is happening with GSI, and an exclusive for GSI through KTT. Make sure you are signed up to the YouTube channel. Go over to Octopus TV. Do that now, because Facebook only allows me to have 5,000 friends, and you're all my friends, and we're already at over 5,000. Over, I say over, because you have a sort of waiting list. Isn't that extraordinary? Anyway, all the people, and apologies to those who've not yet come on the friends list. It's a sort of a, you have to wait till there's a space, basically, but 5,000 is the maximum. We've been there for some time. But you can go over to YouTube and sign up for the channel there. Do that, go and find Octopus TV and do that today, because Marion and KTT and GSI have a very special announcement we're going to be making later today. So this is an announcement about an announcement. I love that. But the special announcement is going to be the date and time that we're going to go on a special exclusive for GSI, and it's going to be a wonderful tour with the fantastic R.J. Gibb, son of Robin Gibb from the Bee Gees. And we're going to be touring round London. We're going to be looking at the places that meant a lot to R.J.'s father, Robin Gibb, and his uncles Maurice and Barry, the Bee Gees. And we're going to be looking at various venues that were important in their lives. And with Marion and GSI, we're going to have an exclusive, live and exclusive guided tour, which you are invited to. If you're with GSI or you've signed up, I suggest you go and sign up to YouTube, the Octopus TV channel now, but also subscribe on Dailymotion, because unfortunately, Facebook, I've only got 5,000 people, and every single one of those slots is filled. And with a long waiting list, which is a real honour and a charm and everything else. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on the breakfast show. We were live at 5:55, as we are every morning here in the heart of London. It's a perfect start to a perfect day. And as I said yesterday, what we have is the world is opening up. We predicted it here live on the show. I was telling you before even the government announced it about the easing up of the social distancing rules, and that shops and cinemas and restaurants are starting to come alive. I'll be taking you live and exclusively all the way there, But for now, thank you so much for joining me. Have a fantastic day, and I'm going to see you live on the main channel together with lots of great content very, very soon. Be good, be safe, and stay